Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 19 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. As for my godly body, I have no way to progress any further at the moment, Luo Feng thought. Moving forward, on one hand, I need to cultivate the Lai Yuan technique and strive to make a breakthrough in willpower as soon as possible. On the other hand, it's time to deepen my understanding of the laws, starting with comprehending a few primal chaos realm techniques. Understanding the primal chaos laws is not something that can be achieved overnight. It requires continuous accumulation, first by comprehending some primal chaos realm techniques and then through a lengthy period of accumulation until one day, there is a moment of enlightenment and the complete law of primal chaos is understood. The path of cultivation through bloodline progression allows one to reach the primal chaos realm with the help of bloodline transformation, Luo Feng contemplated. But for me, the only way forward is comprehending the primal chaos laws. I have already perfected the cultivation of the 3 secret techniques: primal chaos great strength diagram, world-breaking 9 blades, and 9 netherworlds at the level of an eternal true god. Donghua and Duan Mie at the eternal true god level still have some parts one haven't fully grasped, and there's even more room for progress with the Lai Yuan technique. With a single thought, Luo Feng continued to maintain the Great Destruction heart refining technique to further hone his will. This seemingly painful process had long since become something his spiritual will could handle. Sigh? While maintaining the honing of his will, Luo Feng's godly body returned to normal, and he then exited the Star Tower. Boom, boom, boom tilde tilde tilde. As the underground palace doors opened, Morosa and Moyu Qingyang, who were inside the cave mansion, immediately came to greet him, Master. Luo Feng's perfect divine body could perfectly conceal all aura. Neither Morosa nor Moyu Qingyang could perceive any change in Luo Feng. Qingyang, haven't you been at home accompanying your father? Luo Feng asked with a smile. As soon as you went into seclusion, he went back home, to accompany his father, to accompany his 2 brothers. But it wasn't long before he escaped back here, Morosa said with a laugh. Escaped back? Luo Feng was surprised. Moyu Qingyang could only explain, my eldest brother also got married recently. With both my eldest brother and 3rd brother married, they tried to play matchmaker, and many female cultivators took the initiative to visit. I was so overwhelmed that I had no choice but to flee back here. Many female cultivators took the initiative to visit? Luo Feng laughed. How many is many? Quite a few, actually. Even a few bold female cultivators came right up to the entrance of your cave mansion, Morosa chuckled. Later, Qingyang asked me to step in and scare those female cultivators away. I have no interest in matters of the heart, I only wish to understand the 10 fundamental laws as soon as possible, Moyu Qingyang declared. Luo Feng nodded and smiled, that's also true. Once you become a true god of void space, you will have endless life. There's indeed no need to rush things when it comes to matters of the heart. When you meet someone you truly like, your heart will tell you. Moyu Qingyang listened, but it was evident that he was firmly resolute and unwilling to get involved in matters of love. Luo Feng then inquired, has anything significant happened in Huyang City while I was in seclusion? Shang Qianyang didn't run into any trouble, did he? His days have been carefree, of course no one would go after him, Morosa replied. But there has been quite a shake-up within Huyang City, with the city owner's mansion and Shi Kingdom's forces clashing several times, many died or were injured. Luo Feng nodded. The biggest commotion involved Gao Wushui. That leader Gao Wushui actually turned against his own family, Morosa said with a smile. What happened to him? Luo Feng was curious. Gao Wushui was Mo Li Xiao's favorite protege and had once attempted to capture Mei Wuqi. Luo Feng had a rather good impression of leader Gao Wushui. Gao Wushui, originally just an ordinary member of the Gao family, had long been marginalized. He later joined the Huyang Legion on his own as a common soldier and attracted the attention of Commander Mo Li Xiao, who thoroughly supported his growth, enabling his rapid ascent to eternal true godhood, Morosa explained. Not long ago, the Gao family's clan leader, Gao Wei, hosted a banquet for Gao Shui, but Gao Shui turned on them during the meal, calling in the Huyang guards to seize the Gaowu family's clan leader and other core members, including his own father. To seize his own family's upper echelons and publicly declare that Gaowu Wei had sided with Shi Kingdom's forces, Morosa expressed with a sense of amazement. Treason. Gaowu Shui clearly wanted these high-level members of the Gaowu family to die. In fact, soon after the clan leader was captured, he was executed. Luo Feng nodded. Gaowu Shui left his family at a young age, so his bond with them was very weak. Even so, Morosa added, the fact that he could carry out such harsh actions against his own family came as a shock to everyone in Huyang City. They suspect that Gaowu Shui deliberately pinned the crime on them. You seem to know quite a lot, Luo Feng teased. I hear a lot when I'm out eating and drinking, Morosa replied. By the way, Deputy City Lord Moli paid a visit during your seclusion and asked that you contact him as soon as you emerged. Moli Meng. Luo Feng nodded and immediately sent a message to Moli Meng. It was just a short moment. Moli Xiao and Moli Meng arrived together, paying a personal visit to Luo Feng. Please, have a seat, Luo Feng said inside the mountain summit pavilion, sitting there while Mo Yu Qingyang helped pour the wine, and an array of exotic fruits was already set out. Lord Luo, he must already know that Shi Kingdom's forces have been stirring up trouble within Huyang City. Commander Moli Xiao began from his seat. Our city owner's mansion is also troubled by this, and today, as a representative of the city owner's mansion, I am here to request Lord Luo his assistance. You asking for my help? Luo Feng shook his head. I have no grievances with Shi Kingdom's forces, so why would I get involved? Moli Xiao nodded. I understand. Most local families in Huyang City don't want to get involved for fear of reprisal from the Shi Kingdom. But Lord Luo, you're merely with 2 servants and have no attachments, why fear the Shi Kingdom's forces? Since you are an eternal true god, the primal chaos overlord of Shi won't possibly bully the weak. Just facing some eternal true gods, Lord Luo, surely you wouldn't care. Not fearing them doesn't mean I want to engage them in a battle to the death, Luo Feng refused. If we ask for Lord Luo his help, naturally, we come with sincerity, Moli Xiao said. Lord Luo, you just need to garrison a location. The garrison will not exceed 1 era, and we are willing to offer 1 million cosmic sand. Garrisoning for 1 era. Luo Feng shook his head. That's too long. 1 million cosmic sand was something he could obtain himself. It wasn't very appealing. It's not necessarily for an entire era. If Shi Kingdom makes a move, just help us defend the crucial location, and the mercenary task will be deemed complete, Moli Xiao stated. Luo Feng replied, you should know that 1 million cosmic sand doesn't mean much to me. Yes, Brother Luo, he managed to pressure the 6 Lords Alliance and Cloud Treasure Tower into paying 1 million cosmic sand within a day, Commander Moli Xiao said. However, the resources our city owner's mansion can mobilize are limited. I need a portion of Black Marsh poison, Luo Feng said. If you're willing, I'll help. Otherwise, you had better find someone more capable. Black Marsh poison? Commander Moli Xiao was surprised. Brother Luo, he actually knows about the Black Marsh poison produced by Yu Kingdom. I've heard a little about it, Luo Feng said. The information provided by his master, mountain-sitting guest, and the intelligence from the Duandong River lineage allowed Luo Feng to have an understanding of the vast majority of ancient existences within the land of origin. He also knew that some of Yu Kingdom's special products, among which Black Marsh poison, were very suitable for him. The Black Marsh poison contained terrifyingly potent venom, but if a very small amount was ingested, it could be used to hone the spiritual will. A portion of Black Marsh poison, as a product of Yu Kingdom, came at a relatively low cost since it was supplied to the offspring of major families on the land of origin. It rarely ended up in large cities. If Luo Feng wanted to pay extra to buy it, he'd generally have to pay several times the going rate to get it. I will discuss it with the city owner, Commander Moli Xiao said, his divine power incarnation at the city owner's mansion having a discussion about the matter with his companions. It wasn't long. The Black Marsh poison is indeed a specialty of the Tsumeng royal family. The city owner promises that he can apply for a portion of Black Marsh poison, Commander Moli Xiao said. Good, Luo Feng nodded. Where do I need to garrison? Commander Moli Xiao showed a smile. With conditions met, this Lord Luo he could indeed be recruited. "I'll take you there," Commander Moli Xiao nodded, and Moli Meng also smiled beside him. Within the city owner's mansion, the Lord of Huyang City, an elderly man with white hair, the divine power incarnation of Commander Moli Xiao, and a man with a single horn sat separately. This Luo he isn't afraid of our 5 great families, nor has he ever feared the forces of Shi Kingdom. Such a detached and powerful individual is easy to hire, the Lord of Huyang City said with a smile. But the fact that he knows about black marsh poison suggests he is quite knowledgeable. With such strength, naturally, he has had some extraordinary encounters, the elderly man said. With him joining, our defensive force in the 3 Forbidden Lands will be quite sufficient, with no weaknesses. No one saw how he killed Yin Kang, so his strength might not be as high as you all imagine, the single-horned man said indifferently. In my opinion, there's no need to involve this Luo he. The city owner's mansion might be somewhat inferior in strength, but it's more reliable. Commander Moli Xiao explained, "We have studied Luo his temperament, and he is indeed trustworthy. Moreover, all 3 Forbidden Lands, not one can afford to be lost." "Enough," the single-horned man said. "After all, you 5 great families are responsible for Huyang City. Once this matter is resolved, I will return to the royal capital." "Your efforts are appreciated, General Yong," the Lord of Huyang City, the elderly man, and Commander Moli Xiao all said politely. Among the ancient royals of Yu Kingdom, the single-horned man was in command of an army, much stronger than Commander Moli Xiao at the level of an eternal true god. Since even a godly king would have a hard time mobilizing a primal chaos overlord, when dispatching subordinates, it's generally someone like General Yong, a supremely strong eternal true god. "If it weren't for having to deal with the forces of Shi Kingdom, I really would have liked to test Luo his strength," the single-horned man murmured before leaving with a laugh. "Fortunately, General Yong understands that the task is of greatest importance," the Lord of Huyang City said, shaking his head with a sigh. Otherwise, before clashing with the forces of Shi Kingdom, if he started a fight with Lord Luo he, it would have been a joke. General Yong, valued by the godly king, naturally knows what matters most, the elderly man said with a smile. In a vital location within Huyang City, one of Huyang's 10 great legions, the Jin Xiao Legion, was garrisoned. A flying boat landed inside a building of the legion's camp, and 5 figures stepped out. It was Commander Moli Xiao, Moli Meng, Luo Feng, and 2 servants. "The camp of the Jin Xiao Legion?" Luo Feng was surprised. "Is this where I need to garrison?" "Yes." Commander Moli Xiao said, "This appears to be just a campsite, but it is actually one of Huyang City's Forbidden Lands. On the surface, it's guarded only by 1 legion, but in reality, 2 Huyang Guards teams are also hidden here. With your help, Brother Luo he, it is enough to secure this place." Luo Feng looked at the building in front of him and could sense that deep within the building, the atmosphere was much heavier. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 3 figures hurried over, none other than the general of the Jin Xiao Legion and the 2 leaders of the Huyang Guard. Commander, General Jin Xiao and the 2 leaders of the Huyang Guard saluted respectfully. They also noticed Moli Meng, Luo Feng, and the 2 servants. "From now on, Lord Luo he will also be stationed here," Commander Moli Xiao said. "Carry on with the previous plan, Lord Luo he is free to move about in the camp." "Yes," the 3 of them responded. Luo Feng observed them, his gaze lingering on one of the leaders of the Huyang Guard, who was precisely Gao Wu Shui. He and this Gao Wu Shui seemed to have quite a fate. "Deliver what you've promised as soon as possible, or I will leave," Luo Feng urged. "Don't worry, what's due to you will not be short," Commander Moli Xiao assured with a smile. The nearby General Jin Xiao and the 2 leaders of Huyang Guard inwardly marveled. The highest commander of the Huyang Legion was usually very stern, but now he was exceedingly polite and friendly towards Lord Luo he. They all understood that even the combined strength of the Jin Xiao Legion with the 2 Huyang Guard teams was probably no match for a single Lord Luo he. Lord Luo he was indeed the most important defensive force of this place. Commander Moli Xiao instructed, "The news that Lord Luo he is garrisoning this place must be kept secret by you 3. "Yes," General Jin Xiao and the 2 leaders of Huyang Guard respectfully replied. They had been positioned here because they were highly trusted. Brother Luohi, I have also arranged a residence for you early in this military camp. Commander Mo Li Xiao led the way, leaving the building and going to a nearby elegant cave mansion. After all, Huyang Legion contained more than 20 million true gods, so the military camp was naturally vast. The ordinary soldiers only knew this place as a military camp and were unaware of its true significance. Not bad, Luo Feng admired the cave mansion before him. To arrange such a mansion within a camp spanning hundreds of millions of kilometers was quite rare. The living conditions for the soldiers were much poorer, as they stayed inside the Legion mechanical secret treasure when on duty. If there's anything you need, just command, Brother Luohi, Mo Li Xiao said. But you must not leave the camp, as Shi Kingdom's forces could attack at any time. Rest assured, I will keep my promise, Luo Feng nodded. Then we will take our leave now. Mo Li Xiao said with a smile, then left with Mo Li Meng. Luo Feng looked at the cave mansion, only 10,000 kilometers in length and width. Though not large, it was quite exquisite. From today, we three will live here. Yes, Master, Morosa and Moyu Qingyang responded. 5 days later, Mo Li Meng brought the black marsh poison. Lord Luohi, this black marsh poison is a deadly poison produced by a primal chaos-level exotic beast. If you intend to consume it yourself, you must be careful. Start with no more than 1 drop at a time. Mo Li Meng handed a flask of black marsh poison to Luo Feng, solemnly saying, consuming too much could very likely be fatal. Now that the city owner's mansion was employing Lord Luohi, it would be a joke if he poisoned himself to death using the black marsh poison. Rest assured. Luo Feng, having inherited 2 lineages, was very clear on the usage of the black marsh poison. According to his estimation, his perfect divine body-soul was already strong, and his spiritual will was far superior to that of a normal eternal true god. He feared that taking too little of the black marsh poison would barely affect him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. From then on, Luo Feng secluded himself within the Jin Xiao Legion's camp. The Jin Xiao Legion and the 2 Huyang Guard troops continued their normal rotations. The ordinary members were entirely unaware of the site's significance. Only the army's general and deputy general and the leaders and deputy leaders of the Huyang Guard knew the secrets. Sigh? Gao Wushui drove the flying boat back to his family's cave mansion and rested there, naturally with a deputy leader on guard duty. Clan leader. Clan leader. Inside the Gaowu family mansion, numerous family members saw Gao Wushui and were extremely respectful. Gao Wushui, being the only eternal true god in the family currently and ruthless and brutal, had almost completely wiped out the previous senior members of the family. His deterrence within the family was evidently formidable. In the entire family, who wasn't afraid of him? Gao Wushui with a stern face went to a prison deep underground in the family domain, where the guards were extremely respectful. Leave, Gao Wushui instructed. The guards withdrew. Commander Gaowu, you actually deigned to visit me. The man chained in the prison laughed loudly. You killed the clan leader and many elders, so why not kill me too? Do you still have any regard for the so-called father-son relationship? Imprisoning you till now, and you still haven't figured it out. Truly disappointing, Gao Wushui said coldly. What are you disappointed about? You want me, your father, to kneel and beg you? The man's expression was fierce. Without the family, there is no you, you traitor to the family. You had 109 children, Gao Wushui said calmly, and I, merely a descendant left behind after a passionate encounter between you and a maid. I never saw you once after I was born, and later I left the family alone to venture out, then joined the Huyang Legion. It was my master who took notice and took me as his disciple. After my master accepted me as a disciple, you, my so-called father, saw me for the first time. That was our first meeting, Gao Wushui scoffed. Only then did you know about the suffering I had undergone in the family. Only then did you know about my mother, who had died silently within the family as a maid. Where were you when I was young? Where were you when my mother died? You dare talk about a father-son relationship? I am still your father. The man's expression was fierce. Without me, there would be no you. All my growth has been fostered painstakingly by my master. And what you contributed was merely a moment of passion, Gao Wushui said. When I became an eternal true god, the family indeed knew to please me. You became an eternal true god. The family treated you well, did they not? The man angrily said, "The clan leader was quite respectful when meeting you, right? But what did you do? Respect me?" Gao Wuxue shook his head. "At first, they put on an act, but at that banquet, he actually wanted me to be an inside man for Sha Kingdom. I never expected the clan leader, a mere eternal true god, to have colluded with Sha Kingdom." "You are slandering," the man retorted. "At this moment, I am not interested in slandering," Gao Wuxue said. "By wanting me to be an inside man, they didn't care whether I lived or died. Moreover, I would rather die than betray my master. Since they wanted me to be an inside man and didn't care about my life, all those in the family who colluded with Sha Kingdom must die." Gao Wuxue said. "And you, Gao Wuxue, you survived because you were oblivious, and because you are my father, you have the privilege to cling to life. If you don't confess your errors willingly, then you can stay in this prison forever," Gao Wuxue sneered. "No matter which side the family allies with, you should not have betrayed the family," Gao Wuxue said. "Betray the family?" Gao Wuxue sneered. "Now, I am the clan leader, the sole eternal true god of our family. As long as I live, our family will continue to exist. If I die, the family will immediately crumble and be ravaged by various forces. You claim loyalty to the family, then you should be loyal to me. I am your father." Gao Wuxue couldn't bear his son's attitude. "In this world, my mother gave birth to me, my master devoted his energy to raising me. And you, what are you worth?" Gao Wuxue turned and walked away. Within Huyang City, a hidden underground hall in an ordinary cave mansion. Shui Yun, Yu Qianshu, and Yu Qianyi gathered here. "We have tried every means to gather information on the 3 forbidden areas," Shui Yun said, "but the city owner's mansion has tightened information. Those guarding the forbidden areas are their core members and are very hard to buy. It's easy to buy over Gao Wei from the Gao Wu family, but he did such a poor job that not only did he fail to persuade Gao Wuxue, but he also lost his own life." Yu Qianshu shook his head. "A waste dying is just that, he died," Yu Qianyi said. "Divine Monarch Shui Yun, we've also collected information for so long, when do we act? We've prepared for so long, it's time to make a move," said Shui Yun. Yu Qianshu and Yu Qianyi's eyes lit up. "How do we act?" Yu Qianshu pressed. "Our target is the 3 restricted areas," Shui Yun said. "The city owner's mansion evidently has only one Moli Xiao, they may have hidden forces. But the 3 of us together are not afraid of the city owner's mansion at all. If we can infiltrate and destroy one forbidden area, the overall power of the Huyang City array will drastically decrease. There are many critical nodes in the Huyang City array, damage to ordinary nodes has little impact on the array. But the 3 forbidden areas are the core. I will tell you the detailed plan of action on the day we move," Shui Yun said. "Good, we will follow Brother Shui Yun." Both Yu Qianshu and Yu Qianyi were confident. Yu Qianshu, because of awakening a special bloodline, his godly body was considered the pinnacle of eternal true god within the bloodline cultivation pathway. Shui Yun, who had seen much and was knowledgeable, thought that Yu Qianshu's godly body was possibly comparable to unlimited godly bodies. Of course, unlimited godly bodies had great potential both in the primal chaos realm and at the godly king level, playing a significant role. But the bloodline cultivation pathway, once breaking through to primal chaos overlord, reached its limit and had much less potential. However, this did not hinder Yu Qianshu's extraordinary current strength. And Yu Qianyi, as one of the 5 gods of Yu Qian, was also on the same level as Commander Moli Xiao. 3 strong allies together naturally had great confidence. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Within a refined cave mansion inside the vast camp of the Jin Xiao Legion, Luo Feng held a flask of wine. Gulping. He drank a couple of sips and immediately felt the poison permeating his soul, making his spiritual will waver. Luo Feng was also practicing the Great Destruction heart refining technique, repeatedly trying to erode his own will. Duandong River lineage has a tradition of tailoring black marsh poison, making the effects of the black marsh poison even stronger, thought Luo Feng. Using black marsh poison as the base, adding some ingredients and blending it into fruit wine, he could concoct a uniquely flavored wine. It was even more effective for cultivating spiritual will. My soul is too strong, and my spiritual will even stronger. Relying purely on poison is too consuming, Luo Feng thought. Black marsh fruit wine combined with the great destruction heart refining technique gives the best results and also saves on black marsh poison. Such cultivation, for normal cultivators, would be unbearably painful. But Luo Feng's will had been honed by numerous trials, especially the excruciating pain of accepting the Star Tower as his master, which was far beyond his current pain. After all, no normal refining method could reach the level of pain experienced during the Star Tower acceptance. Thus, to Luo Feng, this bit of pain was rather enjoyable, even a fun part of his cultivation. Master, we going to stay here for an era? Moli Meng came over, somewhat reluctantly. As your servant, it doesn't matter much to me, can I perhaps go out for a while? Previously often indulging in pleasures in the city, now staying long-term in the military camp, Moli Meng was getting a bit restless. Look at you, Luo Feng shook his head, you can't even muster this bit of patience. Your spiritual will is really quite average. I am just enjoying life timely, what does that have to do with spiritual will? Moli Meng retorted. I, the master, am staying here guarding, and you, the servant, want to go out and enjoy. Luo Feng looked at him, don't you think you're being a bit unreasonable? Moli Meng looked down. Just wait until Shi Kingdom's forces attack, or until a full era passes, Luo Feng said. Suddenly, without warning, a dreadfully cold chill descended, in an instant covering the entire area of the Jin Xiao Legion's camp. During this night, the vast camp, spanning hundreds of millions of kilometers, was completely covered in frost. Has it come so soon? Luo Feng looked up, surprised. Finally, it's here. Moli Meng exclaimed with joy. Protect Qingyang, Luo Feng instructed as he stepped out of the cave mansion with a wine pot in hand. Don't worry, Master, Morosa said, standing beside Moyu Qingyang and looking up at the frost covering the sky. The formation of the cave mansion operated on its own, sheltering both Morosa and Moyu Qingyang. Moyu Qingyang was somewhat nervous. Lord Luosa, shouldn't I hide inside the flying boat? When the critical moment comes, I will take you into the flying boat's secret treasure. As for now, just watch the battle at ease, Morosa said with a smile, gazing into the distance. Shi Kingdom's forces are attacking, and this great battle is indeed spectacular. Moyu Qingyang glanced at Morosa beside him, feeling uneasy. Lord Luosa was merely a true god of void space. If they were affected by the imposing might of the Shi Kingdom's forces, both of them would likely turn into ashes. Since Master has arranged it this way, he must trust Lord Luosa. Moyu Qingyang felt helpless and could only anxiously watch the battle, silently hoping they would not be affected. At this moment, Luo Feng reached a core building nearby in just a few steps. This building's deep underground was the entrance to the Forbidden Land. As long as I guard this entrance, no one shall pass. Luo Feng stood at the entrance of the building, watching as billions of snowy white threads descended in the night sky. Countless threads intertwined, forming a heavenly net that instantly bound three giant mechanical treasures soaring into the sky. The Jin Xiao Legion was the largest in size, taking on the form of the Jin Xiao exotic beast. When enveloped by the snowy heavenly net, it too tried to tear the net apart. The two mechanical stream secret treasures controlled by Huyang guards were the three-sword sky-splitting beast and the saber-winged devouring insect. Although slightly less powerful, they were equally fierce. Rustle, rustle, rustle tilde tilde tilde. Bound by the snowy heavenly net, the three giant mechanical treasures clearly had their strength greatly diminished. What a heavenly net! Luo Feng took a small sip of wine at the entrance, feeling increasingly stimulated. Such a binding move is enough to defeat the Blood Python Association leader. The expert who deployed this must be not much different from Moli Xiao. Underneath the immense snowy heavenly net, a figure condensed into existence, a woman with a frost body. Her body was made of solid ice, and her gaze was even colder. Jin Xiao Legion and the two divisions of Huyang guards, you dare to stop me? Yu Qianyi's voice echoed everywhere. Attack! Kill! Destroy this place! With thunderous roars, the figures had already charged into the camp. Presumptuous! The gigantic Jin Xiao, still frighteningly powerful even while tangled by the heavenly net in the sky, bellowed. It triggered the might of the Huyang City formation. Above the camp, mysterious formations began to appear. Luo Feng looked up and saw layers of formations materialize in the sky. Some flickered with golden light, some churned with black energy, and some radiated purple glows. Many formations complemented each other perfectly, as if they formed an abyssal vortex. This fast abyssal vortex formation descended, covering the entire camp and causing the powerful heavenly net to shrink involuntarily. The formation of Huyang City is indeed tricky. Under its suppression, I've lost 30% of my strength, and other eternal true gods have suffered even greater losses. Yu Qianyi immediately felt the terrifying power of the formation. Aided by the formation, the might of the gigantic Jin Xiao and both the three-sword sky-splitting beast and the saber-winged devouring insect greatly surged as they attacked Yu Qianyi in midair. Relying on mechanical stream secret treasures for such power, yet your moves are quite crude, Yu Qianyi looked on with disdain. With a stretch of her arms, giant cold ice blade edges began to condense in midair. Kill. Through the long years, she crafted her blade technique. 9 giant cold ice blades tore through the sky, attacking the gigantic Jin Xiao, three-sword sky-splitting beast, and saber-winged devouring insect from all sides. These cold ice blades were fearsomely powerful, with techniques that were exceedingly intricate. She is Yu Qianyi from the 5 gods of Yuqian, of the Yuqian clan. General Jin Xiao communicated to the leaders of the Huyang Guard. She has already grasped primal chaos blade skills. And with the mechanical treasure, she's refined a frost body. Even if we join forces, we can't defeat her, we can only seek self-preservation. Guarding the Forbidden Land is now Lord Luo his responsibility. Yu Qianyi. The 2 leaders of the Huyang Guard also felt immense pressure. The Zhujian Primal Chaos Prefecture of Yu Kingdom bordered the Liu Yin Primal Chaos State of Shi Kingdom. Liu Yin Primal Chaos State was the Marquis Liu Yin's fief. Among the Marquis's renowned eternal true gods, numbering just over 10, the 5 gods of Yuqian were included, and each of them was difficult to handle, capable of overpowering several legions on their own. Within the core city owner's mansion of Huyang City, Lord of Huyang City, Moli Xiao, a white-haired old man, and the one-horned man General Yong, all 4 incarnations of divine power, were present, observing the scenes monitoring the entire city. Several ordinary residential areas throughout the city have been attacked. Lord of Huyang City observed the monitors, where numerous eternal true gods hiding their presence were rampaging through the residential areas, wantonly slaughtering. Those ordinary residential areas were inhabited by true gods, residing free of charge. Each true god's living area was generally not wider than a kilometer. Merely tens of thousands of kilometers in scope could house over 100 million citizens, showing the high density of residents. These regular residential areas, although protected by formations, could not withstand the onslaught of these top eternal true gods. The formations were rapidly breached, and the true gods living within stood no chance of resistance, turning directly to ashes and smoke. Boom tilde 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 tilde. The wanton destruction within the city made the faces of the Lord of Huyang City and his companions turn ugly. We have already dispatched the Huyang guards, Moli Xiao said. They are intentionally causing destruction within the city to force us to deploy the Huyang guards and thus spread our forces thin. The Shi Kingdom really has no bottom line, the one-horned man said coldly. They do not care about slaughtering the city's inhabitants to achieve their goals. We must protect the city's inhabitants, the Lord of Huyang City said. The residential areas are too densely populated. Such rampant slaughter will cause panic within the city, and if the Marquis hears of it, he will punish us severely. In the past, Mei Wuqi's massacre of hundreds of millions was atrocious, but his most substantial abduction happened when the regular city, Fangzhou City, was breached by exotic beasts. The inhabitants were about to flee in all directions, allowing him to capture hundreds of millions in one fell swoop. Although he also committed atrocities within Huyang City, he was much more cautious, abducting only a small number each time, sometimes even requiring the leader of Huyang Guard, Chen Yuchong, to assist, precisely to keep it discreet and avoid causing panic. Such rampant slaughter by the Shi Kingdom's forces, if too many were killed, would cause panic among the city inhabitants. Many would flee the city, unwilling to reside there any longer, affecting the collection of residence fees. Both the Marquis of Zhujiang and the God Kings would not allow such things to happen. All 3 forbidden areas have been attacked. The forces dispatched by the Shi Kingdom this time are indeed formidable, including Shui Yun, Yu Qianshu, and Yu Qianyi. The Lord of Huyang City turned to the three individuals beside him. I will garrison the city owner's mansion. The forbidden areas are up to you now. The city owner's mansion is the most critical, the one-horned man stated indifferently. You need not worry about the three forbidden areas. Luo Feng was originally holding a wine jar, standing guard in front of the forbidden area's palace, leisurely watching the fight between the three mechanical flow secret treasures and the experts from Shi Kingdom high above. But when the Huyang City formation erupted with terrifying power, out of the 5 eternal true gods from Shi Kingdom that came attacking, only Yu Qianyi and one who wielded thunder continued trying to head towards the forbidden area. Meanwhile, the other 3 eternal true gods from Shi Kingdom retreated explosively, fleeing to the regular residential zones next to the military camps. They instantly acted to tear apart the formations protecting the residential areas. Deserve to die? Luo Feng's expression turned cold, and the wine jar in his hand disappeared. At this moment, the 3 eternal true gods who fled outside the camp moved apart, and they were also quite far away from Luo Feng. Standing at the doorway of the hall, Luo Feng suddenly donned a golden armor. Pairs of golden wings unfolded behind him, and at the same time, under the drive of his perfect divine power, the might of the Shou wings had already stirred up primal chaos. The primal chaos realm technique of Shou wings, control primal chaos. At this moment, Luo Feng was not being conservative with his perfect divine power. He wildly transformed and consumed energy, causing the scope of controlled primal chaos to be exceptionally vast. The power of chaos descended within tens of billions of kilometers around him. A vast amount of matter and energy began disintegrating back into chaotic power. Yu Qianyi, who was originally alone in besieging the 3 gigantic mechanical flow secret treasures, perceived a change in her face as she noticed the forces of heaven and earth reverting to primal chaos around her. The thick primal chaos current was incredibly heavy. Such a powerful primal chaos domain, not good. Yu Qianyi realized the danger. Her frost body naturally did not fear such restraints, but her subordinates would likely suffer in the face of such might. The 3 eternal true gods who fled to the regular residential district, intending to carry out a massacre to force the Jin Xiao Legion and Huyang guards to stop them, suddenly discovered that the forces of heaven and earth around them were reverting to primal chaos. Endless primal chaos currents surrounded them. The primal chaos current seemed sentient as they bound and squeezed them. No. These 3 eternal true gods had their own strengths, and in terms of power, they were not inferior to He Duomo. If they could amass enough merit points, there was hope that the Marquis would award them a mechanical flow secret treasure. It's easy to obtain merit points in enemy cities, but it requires taking risks. After taking risks too many times, death is a possibility. Fut. Under the terrifyingly oppressive primal chaos currents, the 3 top eternal true gods shattered to pieces in their terror. Standing before the hall, Luo Feng frowned slightly. Of these 3 eternal true gods, my controlled primal chaos only managed to crush 2 true gods' hearts. The body of the other eternal true god did not contain a true god's heart. Luo Feng knew well that some eternal true gods who possessed the source of law were somewhat special, or their inherited cultivation was special, allowing them some life-saving secret techniques. The life-saving secret law, Undying River, of the Duandong River lineage was even more impressive. However, as the perfect divine body Luo Feng, he did not need such techniques. Pity I couldn't eradicate evil thoroughly, killing only 2. Luo Feng's gaze swept over to Yu Qianyi in the air and the other thunder-wielding eternal true god who was being suppressed. Lord Luo He. Yu Qianyi's eyes sparkled with fighting intent. Merely a domain couldn't intimidate her. This episode is end here.